Hi, software apps for business students. Can you believe we're moving into week 9? This will be the third and the final week of our Excel spreadsheet competency. Before we move on with the video, once again, I'd like to thank you for your communication. I hear from many of you during the week. I appreciate the unsolicited positive feedback that I've received from this class. It certainly, from my perspective, does seem like you are learning a lot of what you perceive to be valuable information in the business world, and that's music to my ears. I appreciate knowing that. Also, you're asking great questions, and I encourage communication as we move towards the second half of the trimester here. So let's get started moving into Excel. Once again, in this video, I'm going to have you open up a file. Follow along with me, and once you've completed the file at the end of the video, I'd like you to submit it. You want to submit it under assignment 09.1, and then of course you'll have a practice activity. With the video, you can stop, you can pause, you can back up, you can fast forward at any given point in time. That's kind of the nice thing about using videos. Also, feel free to use and search. I will have a manual out there, a PDF file that might make a helpful reference guide, and there's other materials out there. You know certainly how to use the tools on the internet to search for help. So let's get started by taking a look at the learning objectives for week 9. You'll see that we're going to continue to practice using formulas and function. That's the power behind a spreadsheet application, as you've learned. We're going to jump into one of my favorite functions in Excel. It is the if function. It's considered to be a logical function, and they're very powerful. We're going to actually get started with the if function right off the start. So we'll talk about if functions in just a second. We will continue to practice using relative and absolute cell references when you copy or move formulas or functions from one cell to another. We'll continue to use the autofill to fill across labels as well as copying formulas and functions. That is the fastest way to do that. And then we'll continue formatting a spreadsheet. You will take a look at a couple other features we have not looked at up to this point in time. And then finally, we will continue to practice. We're going to create another chart, and we'll take a look at creating and formatting charts or graphs, whatever you want to call it. So what I'd like you to do at this point is go ahead and open up the file that I have had attached to the submission folder. The name of the file I would like you to open is ADVFNCT_week3. It should be the practice file that I have associated with this video. I've pulled up the reference manual on page 24 in bold. I'd like you to take a look at that. The if function has got a syntax associated with it. Equals if is the command, and then surrounded by parentheses, there are 3 arguments that you need to include in an if function. The first argument is the logical test. You can use mathematical comparison operators for a logical test. I'll give you some examples here in just a second. Greater than, equal to. There are others, less than, not equal to. And then what you do, the second argument is the value if true. You there tell Excel, what do you want to do if the logical test is true? The third argument is value if false. And that's where you're telling Excel, what do you want to do if indeed the value is false? These are really powerful arguments or functions because it will perform a logical test, and it can do one thing if it's true. It can do something completely different if it's false. And we will apply that to some really good examples coming up here. I'm going to scroll down to page 25 here in the manual that I've put out there and in Blackboard. And here are some examples of the mathematical comparison operators you would want to use in a logical test. For example, is cell B3 equal to 0? Is cell C6 not equal to 0. You could use the greater than equal to, less than, or less than equal to. And again, we'll take a look at some practical examples for that. What you can do if the value is true is if the logical test is true, it can produce a number, or you can tell it to calculate a formula, or input a cell reference, or include text, or another function. And the same with false. If it's false, you can tell it to do something different, a different number, or a different formula, or a different text. So again, you'll see logical examples as we go through. So some examples I have included in the manual would be like, if what you have in cell B7 is greater than 10, so to read that, if B7 is greater than 10, comma, you'll see that in the argument, the second argument then, if it's true, it's going to take what's in C7 times 0.1. If it's false, it's going to enter a 0. So you see it can do one thing if it's true, another thing if it's false. Another good example here is if B7 is not equal to 10, that's the first argument. If it's not equal to 10, then what we want to see is the word good. If it's true. If it's false, we want to see the words no good. So we'll get some examples. We'll actually apply that there. You can actually do some additional reading in the training guide that I put out there on Blackboard. So let's go back to our spreadsheet. Okay, so you want to make sure that the logical spreadsheet worksheet is selected. And what you're looking at is an invoice. It looks like an invoice. It is an invoice. So if you take a look at this invoice, the company name is Worldwide Sporting Good. It's a customer invoice. In this column, column C, you have a quantity, you have a part number, and you have a price. Under totals, you're seeing a formula up here. So to calculate the totals, it's taking the total quantity in C9, I'm going to use the rangefinder here, and it's multiplying it by the unit price in cell E9, okay? And so each line item is doing that. Now under the gross part of the invoice, if you click on it, it's summing. So it's taking all the numbers above it, F9 through F11, you can see that right up here, and it's totaling. It's just a simple sum function. Okay, what we're going to do, and I'm going to have you select cell F14, we're going to create an if function. And the if function, the logical test, is going to take a look at the gross total in F13 to determine whether it's greater than $400. So the first argument in the if function is F13 greater than 400. Now, if it's true, the second argument we're going to be using is then they're entitled to a discount. So they're entitled to a 10% discount. So the second argument is going to be, we're going to take F13 times 0.1 because that's 10%. And we're going to enter that into that cell. Now, if it's not true, let's say it's false, let's say it's less than 400, then we want to see a 0 because they're not entitled to a discount. Okay, now I think the easiest way to work with F's is using the if function, is using the insert function command that you see up on the formula bar. So I'm going to take my mouse on the formula bar and I'm going to click on the little FX button, insert function. I'm going to click on it. Okay, it'll take you to the category right here, most recently used, or you can just search if. I'm just going to search for an if function. And there it is. For the record, everybody, if you do select a category in the insert function dialog box, we're going to go to the logical category, and that is where you find an if. There's a whole lot more, but we're focusing in on ifs. So we're going to select the if function, and we're going to click on OK, and it opens up what is called the formula palette. So you can see the arguments that this function is looking for. So what is the logical test? The logical test, and you can either point and click or type. The logical test is, we're going to take a look at, I'm going to type in F13 to see if it's greater than 400. So I typed into the formula palette, is F13 greater than 400? That's the first argument in an if function, is the logical test. Notice if you look over to the right of it, it already knows in this case it's true. It's already telling you it's true. Okay, so the second argument is, okay, if it's true, what do you want to tell Excel to do? Well, if it's true, that means they've earned a discount. So we're going to take what is an F13 and we're going to multiply it by 0.1. Okay, so notice on the right-hand side, it's already done that. 10% of 419.50 is 41.95. It's already calculated that because it already knows that it's true. The third argument in an if function is, what do you want to do if it's false? Okay, so let's say the gross amount is not $400, it's lower than that. We want to see a 0. They do not get a discount, so we're just going to type in a 0. And you can see what the result is right there. So we're going to choose OK, and you can see that. So that's the first if function that we're going to actually use it twice here with this invoice. But one thing that I want to show you, just to kind of play around with this, we're going to play around with the quantities so that the gross amount drops below $400, and you're going to see what happens to the discount. So I am going to let's click on C9, and let's change the quantity in cell C9. Let's change the quantity to 3. Now, when you do that, it's going to lower this amount, which is going to in turn lower the total that you see in cell F13. So from changing the quantity from 7 to 3, you're going to see now this is now false. F13 is not greater than 400, so you're seeing a 0 value. Once again, playing around, let's go back to C9 and change that number from 3 to 8. Take a look at that, and you can see that, how it's automatically calculating because it's now true. So that is the basics of the if function. We're going to practice one more right below the invoice, and it's going to be a little bit of a different example. So I'm going to have you select cell F19 right below the invoice. Now, when a customer is entitled to a discount, we want to let them know. So in cell F19, we want to see the words, "You have earned a discount." Okay, if they have, if it's not true, if the gross amount in cell F13 is less than 400 or less, I should say, we want to keep the cell blank. So once again, we're going to use another if function to determine that. Again, easiest way to set up an if, you can manually type it in there, but most people don't feel comfortable typing that right in. So we're going to go up to insert function. Once again, it'll bring up, if you selected the logical category, you'll see it here, or you can search for an if. We'll pop that, select that, choose OK. Now the logical test is the same as the first one. We want to take a look at cell F13. So we're going to type in F13 to see if it's greater than 400. It knows that it's true right now, right here. Okay, now if it's true, in this cell, we want to see the text, "You have earned a discount." So we're going to type in, "You have earned a discount," exclamation point. Okay, now if it's false, what you want to do in order to keep a cell blank, if you don't type anything there, you'll see the word false. That would look kind of funky here in an invoice. So to keep a cell blank, it's literally a quotation mark, quotation mark. That means that's telling Excel that we want to keep the cell blank. Choose OK. So you can see right now, if you take a look at F13, the logical value is true. And you see the message, "You have earned a discount." Once again, let's go up to the quantity and click on that and change the quantity. Let's change it back to 2 and enter. That lowers the amount, and you see it's false. You see the discount is 0, and you see a blank cell down below. So hopefully you'll get to enjoy, you see the value of the if functions and how powerful they are. They're really fun functions to work with. Please change the number in cell C9 to 7 and hit enter, and you'll see your ifs, and you have earned a discount. And this might be a good point to save your work. So you can take this file, you can save it as I'm going to save it into my Excel stuff folder. And you can use your last name, and this will be assignment 09.1, save. So you've got that saved there. This also is a nice time to take a break. So I'm going to end this video and I'm going to record the next video. If you want to continue, you can keep this file open. We're going to jump into the second worksheet called bonus. So you can go there and go ahead and start the next video.